At the WSIB, the delivery of quality services in French is the responsibility of all employees, not just those in French-designated positions. Every employee needs to be aware of the obligations the French Language Services Act imposes on the government and what we can do to ensure that Francophones access services at the same quality as those offered in English. In this presentation, you will gain a better understanding of the French Language Services Act, become aware of the many changes impacting the delivery of services in French at the WSIB, and review the standards for the provision of quality services in French. Over the years, a number of laws have been introduced that have transformed the way the Ontario government delivers services to the public. You will now learn about the French Language Services Act, which guarantees the right to services in French. In 1986, the Ontario government adopted the French Language Services Act, which consolidated all existing policies on French language services. The French Language Services Act guarantees each individual or group the right to receive provincial government services in French. It requires that all services be of equal quality and accessibility to those offered in English, including services and methods of communication such as websites and public consultations. It applies to provincial government ministries, agencies, boards, commissions, institutions of the legislature, third-party service providers, and all WSIB offices. The obligation includes the provision of proactive services in French without waiting for the public to request them. The notion of service goes beyond a direct service. Programs and policies have to take the needs and expectations of Francophones into account. Communications have to be adapted to the realities of the Francophone community. Everyone has a responsibility to help the government fulfill its mandate regarding the French Language Services Act, whether in a designated position or not, or offering direct services or not. This means being aware of and understanding your contribution to meeting the French language service requirements, knowing what resources are available to you, and reporting barriers to the effective delivery of services in French. The concept of an active offer was introduced in the 2006 Framework for Action and commits to moving to a proactive rather than reactive approach to service delivery. Active offer means a totally proactive approach to service provision, having a plan in place and communicating that plan and always being able and ready to follow through on your offer. What does active offer mean? To the public, an active offer of services means being well informed about available services in French, having access to these services, and being satisfied with the quality of these services. To ministries, an active offer of services means having sufficient bilingual staff in strategic positions to offer quality services, integrating French language services considerations into strategic planning, ensuring all staff across the organization are well informed of and understand their obligations, posting all signs visible to public in both English and French, and recording all automated telephone messages in both English and French. What are direct services? Direct services are any contact with the public, whether services are offered at service counters, call centers and reception, enforcement and inspections, or communication and community development. The best way to provide direct services in French is with a network of knowledgeable people working together to make that happen. Designated bilingual positions must be established in all program areas that have contact with the public. The number of positions must be sufficient to ensure reliable access and backup. In order to ensure an active offer, designated positions must be established at the management level. It is also important for designated staff to have support and backup in providing services in French, such as other bilingual staff who are available in the event the incumbent is absent, or translators who can translate correspondence from French to English or from English to French. Providing services in French is easily understood in terms of an obligation to provide frontline service, but being proactive involves all aspects of public services. Integrating French language service requirements into planning activities is equally important, whether for new or existing programs. modernization and restructuring has been a priority of the government over the past few years.
Telephone and counter services are the most common and frequent customer contact point. The French Language Services Act states we must provide services in French when requested. As a representative of the WSIB, remember that how we deliver services in French can also change the public's experience and satisfaction. If you are not in a bilingual position, keep a list of bilingual colleagues and the French WSIB queue number close at hand. Then follow these protocols. To provide great customer service to our French language clients, inform your client you have a bilingual colleague who will be happy to assist them. Then if contact is by telephone, transfer the call to the designated bilingual staff in your work area. 1. Give your client the person's name and their phone number in case they get disconnected. 2. Tell the client that this person is bilingual. 3. Inform your colleague that this client's language preference is French. 4. Warm transfer the call. If there are no colleagues available, call the queue line. Conference your client into the WSIB French queue. 647-776-3740 and stay on the line to assist in resolving the call. Counter, in person. 1. Ask your client to please wait. 2. Get your bilingual colleague to assist and inform them the client's language preference. 3. Introduce your colleague, indicate they are bilingual, and will be happy to assist them. Remember, a simple approach such as replacing "Sorry, I don't speak French" with "One moment, please. Someone who speaks French will be with you right away" can make a world of difference. For more information on WSIB specific protocols and a list of bilingual employees available to assist you, visit the French Services page on Connects.
Written communication is another important contact with the public. Ensure that letters or emails received in French are responded to in French. Correspondence is grammatically correct and error-free. Ads and notices are published in French media outlets, and French and English web pages are posted simultaneously and contain information relevant to both English and French communities. Any material intended for the general public needs to be translated, including material posted on the internet. Publications and forms are always available in both English and French, preferably in a bilingual format. Although some technical documents may not require translating, an official exemption needs to be sought from French language services. When planning and engaging in consultations, outreach activities, and marketing to various groups within the community, you need to ensure that Francophone stakeholders are invited and encouraged to participate. They have access to bilingual material and resources during the process if separate French consultation sessions are not conducted, and once consulted, their input is taken into account. We hope you have found this material useful in understanding the government's obligations under the French Language Services Act. For additional tools and information on this subject, you are encouraged to visit the French Services page on Connects.